Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Timelkov.
Happy Wednesday, dear audience. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, we are on a mission to find some of the most caring leaders from every corner of the world and give stage to show that how they achieve their success and to look into how do they care about the world, the community. And today we have the privilege to welcome Toot Shani, who is a founder and a managing partner of Sarona Partners, a company, a venture capitalist fund that invested in more than 300 businesses, startups, and they have achieved seven unicorns. And also, Toot is a part of the global shapers of the World Economic Forum and really doing so many different things. And she's just joining us today. To thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Marian.
You guys have done exceptionally well. You started in 2017 and just looking at your track record, creating so much value. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you have done to achieve that. But maybe starting with you first, what attracted you to be an entrepreneur above all, and really to create and to solve those world problems?
Oh, you're really starting with the gist, the most important part. So for me, entrepreneurship is by far the best way to move our world forward. This is why I love entrepreneurship.
And when you look at, since we talk about care and really what, for me, entrepreneurship is a great catalyst for positive impact, very much aligned with you. And that's why I was so excited about our conversation. Tell us more about how the idea to found Sarona Partners came about and your own journey. We're interested in you personally. How, especially for our audience that are looking up to you today and maybe considering what would be their next step, how they want to rise.
So Sarona was actually starting from a joint vision that both me and my co-founder had, where we're both very connected to the Israeli ecosystem, and we, from each of us, from our own past and from our own reason, but we both saw back in 2016, 2017, that the Israeli startup ecosystem is very much driven by exits, and a lot of the entrepreneurs, even though the Israeli scene was always very strong from the technical standpoint and product standpoint, we didn't have the mentality of building big companies. And the mentality of the Israeli entrepreneur was very much building a product or building a technology and thriving for the exit. If you were asking in 2017 a founder, what's your vision? What's your dream? They would tell you, I want to exit my company. And for me, and my partner shares that too, we both come from the business standpoint. And if you look at a company from the business perspective, selling the company is actually often a failure because you failed to build the company bigger. And from the business perspective, your vision should always be, how can I grow more my company? How can I serve more customers? How can I bring more value into the world through the products that I'm providing and the problems that I'm solving? And we decided that it's about time to bring into the Israeli entrepreneurs the mindset of building versus selling. This was the beginning of the motivation for us to build Sarona, which we did, and now it turned to be one of the leading VCs and tech ecosystems in Israel and globally. Actually, we started investing globally since 2020, and we also have locations that we've opened in New York and in San Francisco, and we have a small chapter in Mexico and in Europe as well. Now opening Asia.
Thank you for sharing that. Actually, I wasn't aware of. I often see it. I think it's a common theme of entrepreneurs or founders to do an exit, and often maybe driven by a bigger vision because they want to gather some capital and do more and more other things. But you're right. If you stick around with your vision for that organization, that can be much bigger. It's kind of a lifetime. It can be a lifetime vision, really, to make a difference, and that's really a different perspective and change in mindset. To look at things in this way.
Yeah, it's just a question. If you have something in your hand and that within 2 years it's going to be worth $5 billion, and it because that you are going to bring it there. If I offer you 50 million, would you sell?
That is a good point. No.
You would only sell if you doubt the fact that it would be a $5 billion.
Yeah, that's it. That is where that's a good point, which is the doubt, and or if there's some sort of pressure that's coming onto you, that could be financial or other kind of issues that you may be dealing with, but that could be overcome if you really have this. And you at Sarona, you're really a great example of how quickly you could grow to such a large valuation, 7 unicorns in such a short period of time. And you talk about leadership and power of leadership. What is your approach to this? What do you look for when you're looking at those future investments? When you look at the founders, what are the values and that connect with you?
It's funny because you're really barging into an open door. I'm now in Thailand, and I'm doing some meetings here with family offices, and just exited a meeting with the Bangkok Bank. They asked me a similar question, and my answer was, no, it's true, because that's the essence of who do you choose to invest in, right? And that's the secret sauce of how do you make a good portfolio and a good venture fund. So for us, the key is execution. And execution a lot of times comes from resilience. So when you're looking at a founder, you're trying to understand how well can they execute on the problem that they chose to solve, and how resilient are they to be able to stick to it and to find solutions if things don't go as planned. I mean, COVID made a lot of companies shut down, but those that were led by founders that had high level of resilience, they came back home and they said, what are we going to do? And they were very agile to change their model, pivot the company, refocus the target market. We have one company like this in our portfolio. They were with us in New York in March 2020. And what they did back then, they're a company that is doing a software solution for retailers that has different branches. So they were working with all the big fashion chains in Israel and in the US. And then COVID started, and one after the other, their customers started shutting down their budgets, and they were devastated. We were there in New York, March. There was the first case of the taxi driver in New York that got COVID, and then it started spreading around, and they were sure that they were going to close the company. And the founder went back home, and we sat together and we made a brainstorming session, And we said, okay, what can we do? In this current market, current situation, what can the solution that we have in hand, who can this be useful for? And we retarget the solution to grocery chains and gas stations. And the company flew. That's what you're looking for when you want to choose the characteristics of a founder.
No, that is really inspirational, and you're right. There's a lot of bumps. Someone described being an entrepreneur is like eating glass. It could be like really difficult in moments, and you need to be like, I've never done that, so I can't, testify. But I do know that as a CEO, also gone through very difficult moments. And you need to have lots of resilience and really stamina to go through those challenges. The question is, when it comes down to personal well-being and care, do you look into their daily routine, or the founders, of how do they take care of themselves? Is that something which is important apart from that characteristic, or do you support the founders with know-how or ways to really do better? Because one of the key advantages of being with someone like Sarona or the venture capitalists, they can get access to knowledge and best practices that they don't have.
So I think it usually comes down to relationships, right? I mean, it's not that we're giving them lessons about mindfulness, right? It's not our. I don't think this is necessarily our role as a VC, and looking also at not only our money that we invest heavily, also ourselves into companies and inside the fund, but also the LPs that we have. I mean, our main responsibility is to work with these founders to build big companies. But along the way, you build relationships with them. And when you build relationships with them, you become not only their investor. If you do your job well, you become their counsel, you become their advisor, you become their friend. And as you become a person and not only a checkbook or a wallet, then you have conversations. And in the conversations, you exchange a lot about their mental pressure, about their management pressure. Being a CEO is often a pretty lonely position, and you don't always have the possibility to discuss with anyone, really, about your state. And we do like to take the position of the advisor to the CEO rather than, the strict VC that you need to hide your failures from because they would feel like they're not going to back you anymore, but rather being there for the founders in good times and bad times. And if we feel that the company has potential, then really working with the founder, both on their personal ability to lead the company, but also on their leadership team and the management. And for example, we have communities of C-suite teams. So we have a CMO community and a CFO community and a CEO community. And there is a lot of exchange happening within those groups. And some of this exchange also involves, personal growth aspects of being an entrepreneur. Then yes, not directly, but heavily yes.
I can see, and now you talk about scaling companies and say how we can help them really not just to have an exit. You have 7 unicorns in the portfolio. What is the largest business that you have in the portfolio in terms of, and how do you measure size? Is it people? Is it revenue? What do you look for when you talk about scalability?
Usually scalability is measured by revenue growth. Then obviously you look at the number of customers and but that depends what they do, right? I mean, an SMB company would have more customers than an enterprise company. Our biggest company today is 12.5 billion in valuation. Then we have 9 billion, we have 2 billion, we have 7 billion, we have 1 billion. And the biggest company has today a bit over 2,000 employees all over the world, and $300 million in ARR.
Wow. And that's that is just from a few years of operations. I mean, that's really inspirational and really what you do. Do you find, can care and business work together?
I think they must. I don't think that a business leader who doesn't care can endure for long. I mean, you must care all around, right? I mean, you care for your employees, you care for your customers. In our case, we care for the portfolio companies, we care for the customers of the portfolio companies, we care for our investors, our LP investors. We care for the co-investors that co-invested with us in the portfolio companies. And in fact, care is one of our core values that we've defined as a way of operating. And I don't think you can do it without. You would tell me that there are cases, but I personally, I don't think that you can be as successful if you don't care. Because if you don't care, then you would not go the extra mile for your customer, right? Or for your portfolio company, or for your investor. You would not try harder when things are not going as planned. And if you don't care, the underlying of not caring is not trying as hard, not pushing, not thinking, not being creative, not thinking outside the box because you don't care.
Thank you. That's really what we want to really confirm consistently through different businesses, because it's not sustainable if you don't care. You can't attract the exceptionally gifted talent, which we are deeply passionate about at Dynamis, and retaining them is very much closely linked to how do you care, what's your vision, what's your impact, and of course the role of the CEO is very much to take care of all of those aspects that you've just described, from the team to the customers to the community, to really solving that problem, to the investors, as you mentioned. If we are sitting on the investor side and we're considering to obviously invest money into Sarona Partners, what is unique about you that we perhaps would be looking for, or as an investor, what is really that's like the key consideration? And I'm sure you have many investor meetings, and they're probably asking similar questions.
At the end of the day, when you're an investor and you're looking to deploy your capital in venture fund, whether you're a family office or a corporate VC or a financial institution, yes, you're definitely looking for financial returns, obviously, because you're investing and you need your money to be in the right place. But there are many funds with similar performance, right? So the question is, how do you choose? And oftentimes it comes down to partnership. And as an investor, you want to choose a good partner where you can not only invest with, but you can grow with, you can partner with, you can share other motivations or interests that you have with that partner and support each other to achieve your targets. So a few things I believe differentiates us. One is that we are a family office as well. So we started as a single family office, and we started investing our own capital in startup companies. And this is where this 7, soon actually 8 unicorns that we backed came from. So we invested in their seed round and Series A round and Series B round, and we invested our own money. And so we keep a lot of the family spirit also today in the way we manage the firm. And that's one big differentiator. Second is that we are very global. So we are headquartered in Israel. We are very strong and rooted in the Israeli ecosystem. So we have an excellent access to Israeli-led companies, but we're not only Israeli. So we have excellent access to Silicon Valley companies as well. We're co-investing a lot with funds like Green Bay Ventures and Andreessen Horowitz and Spark Capital, and we share deals with them. So we're very global, and that's a differentiation that we provide to our portfolio companies and essentially to our LPs as well. Yeah, I think this is big differentiation that we have. And then we believe in ecosystem, and we're doing a lot more to both sides of our stakeholders. So with our portfolio companies, we support them on revenue generation significantly. We support them on talent acquisition. We have a dedicated team that supports the companies in recruiting C-level and growth talent. And we take the companies to new markets through a network that we've built of about 350 corporate partners that we have around the world. And when an LP comes to invest with us, they don't just invest their money, and they usually don't only see us as a financial investment. They see us as their partner in Israel and their partner in the Valley, and basically joining a club. Most of our LPs today are either family offices or individuals. So we have a GP of Andreessen Horowitz that invested with us, his personal money. We have a GP of Spark Capital. We have the biggest angel investor in Austria that invested with us, one of the wealthiest families in UK. We have a French family office. We have a corporate VC from Thailand that invested with us. Obviously, a lot of family offices from the US. So it's kind of a club that joins together, partners together, invests together. The way I see investing is not like selling a product. I mean, we're backing portfolio companies. And we are entrepreneurs ourselves, both myself, my partner, we've built businesses. Investing is not like selling. When I'm meeting with an LP, I'm not coming to sell anything. It's not me selling and you buying. It is developing a relationship and a partnership and a friendship. And then if the LP feels that we have a good alignment, of values, of interests, of motivations, then they desire to do things together. And the way to do things together is to deploy capital together. We're also very exposed ourselves in our fund. I mean, we're investing ourselves a good portion of the capital in the fund. So we practice what we preach and we walk the talk. And this is something that really resonates with a lot of LPs, especially family offices, that resonates with our story and are also looking to implement more technology into their traditional businesses, think about how to move from traditional business into tech. And having done that, we become a natural partner for those families to achieve their own targets.
Thank you for sharing. You just described two important things here. You described what is basically the secret sauce, or what you look for in an ideal entrepreneur case. And also you described you mentioned one really important point here. Whatever you do in life, you need partner. But one important, of course, note is the right partner is so critical for your success as well as your well-being and really joy in many ways. Because, as you said, I really appreciate the process you're going through. That is really quite important and also special in many ways, because it's not happening overnight. You take the time to get to know each other and align on many of those fronts. And you talked about values. Care is one of your value, which here is, care is not a weakness, is actually the opposite. It is a strength, and also provides the foundation to be to build sustainable relationships, sustainable businesses that can last. And obviously, in your case, you want to really build businesses that are really solving global problems at scale. What if we just look at young entrepreneurs, perhaps, or what they are on a journey today? What would be your advice to them, especially when they're at a very early stage, starting their journey? And should I be an entrepreneur? Should I do a career? Because there's different really directions you can explore career or entrepreneurship. And if you're in their shoes, and knowing what you know today, what would be your advice?
I think I'm biased, Marian. I don't think I can advise someone to not be an entrepreneur. So my advice would be, start the first few years of your career working in another company. Ideally, a startup company that is growing fast, and enter into the company into a position that you can, apply your talent, obviously. So if you're a good product or vice, etc., and spend 5 years approximately putting your talent into work for someone else's company and learning through that. And then my personal advice, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial bug, go out there and build a company. If you have the passion for a certain problem to solve. So for me, entrepreneurship usually starts from a desire to solve a problem, right? I mean, you better start with a problem and find the right solution, then start with a product and try to invent a problem for it. So when you do have a problem or a challenge or a gap that you identify, that you're really passionate in solving, go out there and solve it. And that's entrepreneurship.
Can you be an entrepreneur within an existing company? In your case, in a larger entities that are scaling up or fast growth, can you be entrepreneur within an entrepreneurial company?
You can, definitely. And some people, this is what fits them. It depends on your risk capabilities, I believe. I mean, how much do you like the roller coaster? How much do you like being in the driver's seat? How much do you like the liability of knowing that the salaries of all your people dependent on your performance and how you lead your company? And obviously, people are different. People are born different, and it's great. We need different people in the texture of society. So you need to be genuine with who you are and where can you thrive, and then choose your function of whether do you want to build something from scratch, or you're better performing in an environment where you have a higher level of a solid ground.
You mentioned one really a word that is very dear to me and I'm deeply passionate about, is to help people thrive at work, not survive. Because if you thrive at work, your family can feel it, your friends can feel it, your community, and ultimately the profits and growth of company, of course, will be positively impacted. And coming to you, you're so young. You have really done so much at such a early days, and you talk about thriving. What gives you that? What sets your heart on fire to thrive at work? What is your personal motivation that gives you that drive, that energy?
So for me, what I'm passionate about is solving problems and closing gaps in the world. And the way I chose to do that and to translate that passion into action is by investing in talented founders and by partnering with other family offices and corporate VCs in order to identify founders that are really strongly passionate about one specific problem, and then backing them up and supporting them to solve that problem. And the reason why I chose that is because it allows me to do that at scale and to solve more problems and to touch more peoples and businesses. And that is really what drives me. I'm very passionate about, being the best at what I'm doing and we're doing, really building a strong firm that consistently is able to back founders that are solving actual problems in the world, and partnering with LPs that share our vision. And whenever we accept a new LP into the fund, and having them joining our journey, or when you see that a startup company hits the point where they got their market fit, and suddenly within, overnight, how they say it takes 7 years to become an overnight success, right? So sometimes you start a company, and then after a while, within days, you suddenly find market fit and you start growing 30% month on month. And when that moment happens, that's something that is really makes me passionate and keeps driving me forward. So for me, it's all about people on both sides. When we partner with a new LP, it's about the person and the people and who do we partner with. And also when we invest in founders, it's a question of who do we invest in, not only what they're building. And when they succeed, then we succeed together. And, we live once, right? So I think the most important decision one should make is who are the people we spend time with during our lives. And work is a big part of our life. So what motivates me is to really choose the right people to go our journey with on both sides, on our LPs as well as the founders we're backing.
Wonderful. And just regarding your personal well-being and obviously passion, how do you take care of yourself? I mean, you're passionate, you're giving 100%, you're really, that takes a lot of energy out of you, I guess. But here you are, you look strong, healthy, smiley. I'm sure that there's a lot of work going behind that.
First of all, Marianne, I truly think that the phrase "do something you love and you never work a day in your life" is true, and that keeps you young. You need to listen to your passion and to do what you love. And that keeps you young and smiling. And else than that, I've been dancing since I was very young, and I have my morning exercise routine that I keep enviously. And else than that, you need to listen to yourself. You need to eat what makes your body feel good. You need to sleep when you're tired. You need to take a day off when you feel, overwhelmed. You need to take time with your family. I think listening to yourself.
Wonderful. Final question. What is your hope or vision for a more caring, for a more better world? If there was no limits, and if you're really kind of where capital was not an issue, where there was literally no barriers in front of you, what would you love to see in the world?
My ideal world would be a world where every single person is not focused on looking at things and saying what's bad in them or focusing on destruction, but rather focusing on creation and on asking oneself, how can I be better? How can this be better? And focusing on building and creating rather than destructing. And I think that if we have the chance to get to that point in our lifetime, then we're going to have an amazing world, amazing society, and a lot of entrepreneurs.
Wonderful. I've never heard that before. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a really a great insight, and absolutely that attitude, that focus, because whatever you focus, it grows. And if we focus on how can we be better, it will grow with that. And that is a fantastic wish, and I shall certainly encourage more people and more leaders to do that around my circle. So thank you so much for joining us today and for taking your time. Blessings go out to your family, your team,
Thank you.
your everyone associated with you and your community, and thank you so much once again for being with us.
Thank you so much, Marianne, for having me, and I hope for a lot more collaboration. We're having maybe just one invitation for the audience listening to us. We're going to have a big tech conference this June in Tel Aviv. It's called Silicon Valley Comes to Tel Aviv. And anyone who is curious about the Israeli tech ecosystem is very welcome to join.
Excellent. And final point, if obviously investors or entrepreneurs would like to get in touch or be part of the conference, what's the best way to reach out to you?
So definitely LinkedIn is a great way. Feel free to reach out, to connect, send me a private message. Usually quite responsive there, and happy to meet and speak with any of you that wants to connect. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Thank you so much for being